Happy New Year, everyone, and I hope everyone had a great Christmas. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to get started with a double page layout for you, and I'm going to be using the Gathering Together Designer Series paper. This paper pack is full of paper with all these gold tones on it. They're just beautiful, and the pictures I'm going to use today are some pictures that we took back at Thanksgiving. We just did some little group shots. I took my daughter and her husband and their dog Oakley, my youngest son and his dog Luna, and then my middle son and his wife and my granddaughter Avery. His wife Avery, my granddaughter Fallon. And then we also got a shot of Fallon by herself on the porch. And then we were all together for just one day, so I wanted to get a photo of all of us together. We weren't dressed up, but before everybody started leaving, I wanted to get a photo because I don't get all the kids here very often. And today I'm going to be using these two papers right here. So let's get this cleared off and we will get started. I'm going to bring in my mats here so that we can keep ourselves lined up and try to keep everything straight. We are going to just use a white base. The entire base will be covered up, so we're just going to use a white base to get started on. So we'll get those here to our mat here and get those nice and straight. And then I am going to be using a sketch. My upline Erin Jacobson provides these sketches for us each month, and it's a great starting off point. I almost always use a sketch, but they make the layouts come together so much easier. And for my paper, I am going to use this plaid, I believe, as my middle. It's going to be a strip down the center, and I want these gold tones, this gold paper on the top and on the bottom. Now I have changed up the dimensions just a little bit so that I don't have to cut into quite so much paper. So we'll use that gold at the top and the bottom, and then I have some solid gold here that I'm going to use small strips as my transition piece between my two pattern papers, and that'll just help those patterns flow together. We are going to mirror that on the other side and make a double page spread out of it. So I got my papers all cut down. I cut this center piece 6" by 12". We will just spread that across the center on both sides. And then the gold, this is directional, so you want to watch and make sure you get your little leaves go in the right direction. But I cut a 3" piece for the top and a 3" piece for the bottom on both sides. And then we're going to use this gold for our transition piece. And I believe I cut this to a 1/2 inch, but I believe I may go ahead and cut that down just to a 1/4 inch. I believe will be more than enough on each side, just to give it that little bit of sparkle and just bring those two pages together a little more. So I'll get those cut down and adhered down. And then we're going to bring our photos back in. I have not matted my group photo yet because I wasn't sure exactly how much room, if I was going to need to cut it down. I'm going to put 2 on the left side, and then I'll keep Fallon underneath her little family there. So this is going to be our photo placement. And I have already backed those on white. We'll get that one backed. I think that size is going to work pretty good. So I also I want to double mat, and I think this early espresso mat will blend in very well. And that'll help those pictures to stand off of that background. And so we'll get some more mats cut, and I'll get this one matted up as well. For embellishments, I'm going to be using the Changing Leaves This set was available last year. It is no longer available, but it has these large leaves that are gorgeous. Now this does have a folder that you can put these in, an embossing folder, but I'm just going to use the dies. And I cut some of the smaller leaves there out of the gold just to help add to our embellishment clusters. So for my leaves, I want to bring in these gold tones on them. So I just cut my leaves out of cardstock, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to emboss the veining onto these leaves just to help them have some gold to stand out. So I'm going to ink up my stamp. I just have some ink from Hobby Lobby. It's embossing. It's a sticky ink. Stampin' Up does have it. It's called Versa ink. If that is available, I will have it linked down below. Anything I use today will be linked down below that's still available. But we're just going to ink up our stamp, and then we're going to stamp it right onto our die cut piece, and that's going to put the sticky image on to that cutout. And then we're going to get our embossing powder. And I have my heat tool heating up off to the side. You want to let your heat tool heat up just a little bit. So I don't know if you can see on camera. You can see the little veining that it's put on there, the pattern with the sticky ink. So I have some gold embossing powder. This is from Michael's. So I'm going to pour some of this embossing powder onto that sticky, and then we'll heat it up, and we'll have some gold tones on our leaves. I did get it off just a little bit, but I can trim it down to make it look even. I'll trim some of those edges down and make them look even. So let me get this put back into the jar. I have forgot to do that before and turn my heat tool around, and it blew embossing powder everywhere. So I try to always make sure and get that put up before I put the heat on. So I'm just going to hold on to it here with my tweezers. And then you just heat. I'm going to heat up from the back. Make sure it's coming out there. You just want to run it over. Don't hold it in one spot too long, but just run it over. I go from the top to the bottom, and it's going to heat that embossing powder up. And in just a minute or two, you see the embossing powder start to melt, and it just makes a shiny gold image on your cutout. They have other colors as well. I have some white embossing powder and some black, so you could make different things. But there you can see the embossing powder starting to melt, and it just melts right into a shiny background. So I'll get some more of those cut out and done off camera for you, but I wanted to do one just to show you how you could add some of that gold foiling to your regular cardstock if you didn't want to cut your big pieces, or if you didn't have leaves with the gold foil already on it. So hopefully that'll just elevate our embellishments just a little bit and help in our clusters. Okay, and I've cut out several already and embossed with the different stamps. Each leaf has its own stamp. So we went through and embossed several here. So let's get this cleaned up, and we will get our page back in, get our page pulled back over here and start our embellishments. All right, on our sketch we have one large cluster on the top left and one on the bottom right of the left page, and then we're going to do one big one on top of the group picture. So I just like to start with my biggest leaves, and then we kind of work down. I've cut some of these smaller leaves out of gold just to help elevate these just a little bit. We're going to spread some of these smaller leaves around just to help make these clusters stand out a little bit. I'm going to try and use one of each color. I cut a set from Crushed Curry, I cut a set from Cajun Craze, and I cut another set from Early Espresso. So I have put the gold tones on each of those, and I'm going to try to use some of each of those colors in each cluster so that we can have them matching all around the page. And then we want to have the different colors in that triangle as well, just to help move your eye around. So we'll get some of these smaller little leaves. And then I also have this little acorn. It's from the Amber Autumn stamp set. And this is a red rubber cling stamp set. Stampin' Up! Has discontinued these, but until they use up the stash that they had, you still get a few. So this one came as a red rubber cling set, but I'm going to use the acorn and the leaf here. And I believe I used Daffodil Delight to color those leaves. If you go around it again, I might have used some pecan pie just to bring out the highlights, because I know the acorns are pecan pie. I just did it a couple times to make it darker around the edges. So let's go ahead and bring some of these down to this bottom right, and we're going to add some different colors. I did have one here that there was a few that I didn't put the gold foil on just so that it wasn't on everything. I didn't want to overwhelm everything with the gold foil. But I do like the shining that it brings out. Gold is just a great fall color. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my title in here just to make sure I have enough room. I did a print and cut on my Cricut, and I used the words gather together. So I'm going to put that right to the left of that cluster there. And that's what we were doing. We're gathered together, and we decided to take some photos, and so I thought that would be a good title. All right, to have something on top of this little cluster, I've gone into one of my paper pumpkins. I believe this is the Fall for Toile. I have this little pumpkin stamp, so I stamped some little pumpkins and colored them, and I'm going to use that right to cover onto the top of my picture and kind of close off that little cluster. So let's go ahead and see. Let's make us a cluster for the top right here. I'm going to start with a large leaf. I don't think I can get the two large ones in there. Let's go ahead and with that yellow. And I think I'm going to keep it here in the center. It looks better there. So we'll get some of these little gold leaves added in to add a little more to this cluster. This one is, I cut off of the side, but I'm going to stick it in down, and you can see I can hide that edge so that it's not sticking out. Not obvious that I cut it out of the edge. All right, so I have those all stuck in there. And I believe I'm going to add just a little bit of color. I want to add a little tag here. I'm going to add it in the Old Olive just to add just a little small pop of another color. And I believe my gathering together, this title turned out a little small, so I cut a larger one. And I do believe I like that better. I'm not going to get rid of the other one. You can let me know in the comments if you like the small one or the large one, but I think I like the larger one. So I'll just hold that small one. Maybe I can use it on another layout at another time. To cover this corner and bring a little landing spot here to cover that corner, kind of to match the others, I'm going to use that word thankful. And to bring that green to the other side, I was thinking of using this tag for a journal box, but I felt like that just kind of stuck out. You'll see here in a few minutes, I actually am going to make that just a small dovetail coming out from the picture. I think that looks much better than just having a tag sticking out. It looked too much like it was floating. I will probably do some journaling maybe on vellum across there or some clear shipping labels, so it'll just, I can put it right over that lighter paper there. All right, I did ink the edges of the two little green pieces, and I think that we're going to call that good. I'll bring those closer so you can see those shiny leaves and those clusters. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up, and like and subscribe to my channel so you can see some more videos when I make them. And leave me a comment. I love reading your comments. And until next time, I hope you have a great year and a great day, and I'll see you again on YouTube. Bye for now.